I'm genuinely scared to click this button to hit play. I don't know what I'm about to do. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Matt, David, I've been thinking about it, and I want to try out a new theme song for the podcast. It's something we've talked about a few times. So I've been working on it a little bit, putting my music producer skills to the task, and I think I came up with something pretty good. So what do you think about this for our new theme song?
Yo, look at go. Yo, it's who in Queen City, crew be rolling in beat. Charlotte FC, yeah, we put y'all to sleep. Down in Atlanta, man, you felt the defeat. That 85 derby, you can't compete. Came to your crib, made it sound like a library. So quiet in the pits, y'all ain't even scary. Bitch, you so bad,
Hold on.
couldn't find your pride. Next day, Coach 5, yeah, he had to slide. Charlotte FC,
What?
we wear the crown. Came to ATL, shut it down. You gave out crowns, ain't that a joke? Burger King swag, now y'all looking broke. They call it the Benz, but y'all ain't got no drive. While we ripping the crowd, showing Charlotte
my
pride.
God.
Your fans got crowns, but we know the truth. Queen City's in the house, and we came with proof. Y'all talk big game, but you couldn't back it up.
This is
On your
amazing.
home turf, man, you ran out of luck. From the first whistle, we control the pitch. Left y'all stunned, twitching like a glitch. Charlotte FC, we wear the crown. Came to ATL, shut it down. You gave out crowns, ain't that a joke? Burger King swag, now y'all looking broke. Y'all had the hype, but we brought the fight. Queen City reigns, yeah, we own the night. Coach packed his bags, couldn't take the heat. Charlotte FC, we ain't never accept defeat. ATL's burning, but not in a good way. Y'all felt the steam from the Queen City play. Came to your turf, made it ours for the night. Left you in the shadows, couldn't see the light. Your fans and crowns like they work in the grill. While we hold the throne, flexing on the hill. Our 85 derby, it's a wrap, we the kings. Charlotte FC, man, we got the rings. Charlotte FC, we wear the crown. Came to
This is really
ATL,
good.
shut it down. You gave out
I
crowns,
have
ain't that a
so
joke?
many questions.
King swag, now y'all looking broke. So remember the name, Queen City reigns supreme. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream. We the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again. Yeah, never accept defeat. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream. We the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again. Y'all remember the name.
Wow.
Queen
I think
City
Corey just put
reigns
us to shame.
supreme. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream.
Who is rapping
We
this?
the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again.
Wow. So
Oh.
we're doing a podcast here, and I just want to
So,
give
yeah,
context.
just,
so if Corey
let
just
me know what y'all
oh,
think.
that was really good.
Okay, all right. So I have a lot of questions. Okay, I don't even know what question to ask first. I guess who is rapping? How did Corey get this?
Yeah. And turn
I
around
guess
in less than 24 hours? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
So for people that are very kind of confused and curious about what's happening, so Corey is not on the show tonight. He's not producing. He has other plans, but he sent us this audio recording. Didn't tell us what it was. Said it was a surprise, and to play it at the beginning of the show. So, and wanted to get our reaction to it. So that's what we've just done. I'm kind of stunned and speechless. I have no idea. That was literally the last thing in the world I expected. It's really good. It's really good. I'm so confused.
I did not
I
know
wanna
that
hear
was
it
in
again.
I didn't know that was in Corey's repertoire of like music ability there. I love the BK Crowns line. Like I need to know
Did
the whole
he-
lyric breakdown.
Did he get someone to sing? I'm so confused. And he gave us no context around it. No notes, no like, hey, play this, and then by the way, I got this here. So yeah, you guys are hearing it for the first time on the podcast. We are hearing it at the same time you are, and I guess welcome to the show.
We will use that song again at the end of the episode so that we can get a clean cut of that again here for everyone to listen. So, but welcome to the show, everyone. We just had Atlanta week, and Corey just stunned the world with a new Charlotte FC fire track for everyone to listen to. I sound old saying that, I think, but that's okay.
That's okay. The lyrics are amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it again in a minute.
I am completely thrown off now. I was not prepared. I was not prepared for that at all. I thought maybe it was going to be like a funny ad read or just like a funny intro by Corey or something, but no.
I thought he may have just shaved his head. I thought he shaved his head and he was gonna show a picture of that or something. I don't know. Here we are.
I was not ready for these hot lyrics. So we will find out more information. As David said, we'll play this at the end of the episode. We certainly have to follow up with Corey after we take.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Mid City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gussler, and I've got my good friend Matt Swift back again this week. So Matt, I know we've had like summer vacation early here. Like I was out for a little while, you were out for a little while. Now Corey's out, but it's good to have you back here in the co-host seat. So how you been, buddy?
Good. Had some fun things going on. Took a little bit of a break, but it's nice to be back and super nice to be talking about a win, and extra nice to get that win against that team down south.
I've got lots of thoughts and feelings, so we're going to dive right into it from this game, but it is a much welcomed feeling to be able to talk about this game when we win in Atlanta on the road, and get their coach fired. But we'll get into that here in just a minute. But so Swift, I know neither of us got a chance to go to this game. I think last year you went with us, right? You went down with us last year. So we got to be able to see what it's like in person last year, but I think this year was even bigger from a supporter traveling entourage group, whatever you want to call it. I think we had 2,000 plus fans go down to Atlanta to watch this I-85 derby that, is starting to heat up a little bit in a rivalry perspective, right?
That's right. I went the first 2 years, which were incredible. But think about this. We're in year 3. You would think some of the luster has worn off, but to have that many go down to represent this city is just incredible. And, big shout out to the supporter groups, but it wasn't just the supporter groups. It was fans that are not in groups going down, either hopping on buses with supporter groups or just, getting in their cars themselves and going down. But the way we represented and how we showed out is truly incredible. I don't see other teams doing things like this, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm humbled by it and just super proud of everybody. And, watching it on TV and seeing everybody in the stands just, kind of gives you goosebumps.
Yeah, it's funny too, because in years past, like the first year we had, who knew what expectations we had? Like we were going down to Atlanta's coming here, went back and forth, and then second year was back and forth a little bit here. But it seems like Atlanta's social media team tried to up the ante a little bit from a rivalry perspective in this game. Before we even start digging into like the first half recap, I want to get your thoughts from a marketing, social media engagement. Atlanta did a lot, and I want to break down some of the things that I made some notes on here. They made a Sir Minty from Wish video. I don't even know what that was. What was your thoughts on that video that they posted of like a sad Sir Minty going to work, but then was secretly an Atlanta United fan? Like I don't know what they were trying to do from that perspective. Do you?
No clue. I do marketing for a living. That's my 9-to-5 job. And I put this in Slack earlier that if I worked in the front office, I would get everybody together and tell them the marketing, the coaching, the play, the game day experience, playing Peppers at halftime, all of that is a case study of what not to do. The whole thing was just hot garbage. And I'm not saying that just because it's Atlanta. Just when I saw the marketing with the Sermini knockoff thing and just everything that they did, the fake Burger King crowns, it was truly awful. And seriously, I would get everybody together and be like, this cannot happen. This is really bad, guys. So it's just really nice for it to be that bad and us just stick it to them on the road. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Well, just to recap some of the things that stood out to me, the awful Sormenti video, whatever the hell that was. And then, of course, Charlotte FC came back and made a funny video about, what is it? The cameo videos where Atlanta apparently paid a bunch of famous people from Atlanta to make a video, whatever. So, but they also did, like you said, the Burger King cutout crown, like for whatever reason they did that. They didn't put Charlotte on the scoreboard in the stadium. They listed them as Atlanta versus visitors. And then so the abbreviation was VIS the entire game, which ironically on the scoreboard showed that they lost to visitors. And then the Peppers at halftime, which we'll get into the second half a little bit, but I don't know what they were thinking. Like what were they doing? I don't understand what the logic was there a little bit. Yeah.
I think they just wanted to stick it to us with the whole crown thing, and but just the way they did the lead up to it and being that petty about the whole visitors thing, and maybe if they would have won, it would have been humorous. But I thought it was all very tacky, all very poorly executed. And if you have to explain it and like people have to like parse like what the hell's going on, it didn't come off well. So just a cluster for Atlanta, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. And I remember, I think what was it, year one, that they were like, you guys aren't even like good enough for us to even worry about you being a rival. But obviously your team and social media felt very much needed to make it a rivalry. So.
Well, they threw the trophies in our face. Like, well, you don't have these trophies. I'm like, yeah, this is literally like our first year, our first like
and those
second
were like
or third game of the season. Like, come on, man. Like, that's what happens when you try too hard. I feel like they tried very, very hard and failed.
I know they're having a down year, so I don't know if they were doing it just to kind of hype people up and make it be exciting and fun. But I think even someone in our Slack, I think it was Spencer, even came out and said like, who's done marketing just like you from when he worked with another team and organization. It's like when you have bad years, you don't do anything to talk bad about the other team because you're probably going to lose. You highlight fans and the things that they're doing well because those are still going to be there no matter what. So I don't. I'm here for it though. I don't want to make this into the Atlanta dump on you show, but here we are. So.
Oh, we can do that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. We got lots of other exciting things to talk about though that I'm so ready to talk about, but that's okay. So, but supporters went down. I know I wasn't there, but just the videos, the photos was awesome. They wore like a bunch of blue. They stood out on the upper deck really, really well. They marched to it. I saw videos and photos of just people randomly in Atlanta taking photos of how long the march was going to the stadium. The tailgate looked awesome. They were loud inside the stadium. There was times I was watching the game and you could hear the Charlotte chants inside their stadium, which is hysterical because not only did they put us way up in the corner, they opened the upper deck for this game and they shoved all the away fans as high up into the far corner as they possibly could in Mercedes-Benz. Years past, we were like mid-level. This year, they put us all the way back. And it was we still were heard. So really big kudos to all the supporters and fans going down there for sure. Awesome, man. So let's dig into the actual game itself and the first half a little bit. So Charlotte FC's style of play and really, I guess, tactics in this game. Were you surprised at all for the starting 11 and the lineup going into this game? Because I know you had Junior Urso start at midfield. You had Brand Bronico, Ashley Westwood, and then Abada also made a start in this game. And I will get into Pat here in just a second, but I was actually kind of surprised to see him start based off of some of the, reports of him being hurt and not practicing as much. What were your thoughts on the starting 11 a little bit going into this game against Atlanta when you first saw that graphic pop up the hour before kickoff?
I was apprehensive about the middle three just with Urso and Bronico, because you're not getting a lot of offense there. I mean, clearly those two guys are defense and, you know, making tackles. That's their thing. So that worried me, because, you know, we've been lacking offense. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh no!" And there was a part of me like, "Okay, you got to deal with Amada. Um, maybe close him down, keep this close at halftime, and then you make a change." I was kind of thinking like that. But yeah, I didn't really care for it at the beginning, and it did not work. We were rather poor in the first half. I think that middle three were having a hard time figuring out where they were gonna be, who are they going to cover. It was leaving gaps in the midfield, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little more attacking there. It ended up working out, of course, but yeah, definitely was kind of scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, Atlanta looked very threatening in the first 15 to 20 minutes, which is not something we're used to. Usually Charlotte is the one that is putting pressure early, scoring goals early. The games that we tend to do well in, we do that. In this game, like we seemed very off in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Like
Mhm.
Atlanta was
Yeah.
creating shots. They were creating turnovers. They were staying in our back third of the field. Kalina got pissed multiple times just with like there like one play that stood out to me was I think Nathan Byrne was trying to do a back pass either to I don't know if it was
Yep.
supposed to be to Kalina or to Melanda or whoever it was, but it went right to Atlanta. It was like reminiscent of the St. Louis game a year ago. We looked very poor in that first half. And do you think that was
Mhm.
just by the lineup choices, or do you think Atlanta was doing something we weren't prepared to do, or what?
No, yeah, that happened, I think, in like the ninth minute. Yeah, we just came out really, really flat. Atlanta probably should have scored a goal or two in the first 20 minutes, like you were saying. I mean, they had a lot of chances, but again, I go back to that middle three, not really being in sync and being where they probably should have been, and leaving those gaps, and that's what caused some problems. The burn giveaway, I mean, that's just a mental error and not really knowing where your people are. So, lucky to go unscathed very early. Um, we didn't escape the first half completely, but that first 20 minutes, they probably should have scored a goal there too.
Oh yeah, I felt like we could have been down easily 2-0 or 3-0 in the first half alone, right? Um,
Yeah.
but let's talk about Atlanta's goal there early on there for a second. So, do you remember what happened? Do you want to break it down a little bit because it was a little frustrating to kind of see how that really kind of unveiled for Charlotte.
Yeah, well, I mean, this starts with Malanda. Actually, he gets the ball and he doesn't clear his lines. He tries to play the ball out of the back, and it's this kind of like half clearance pass thing. And again, doesn't clear his lines, and immediately Atlanta gets the ball, comes forward. Uh, the best player on the field for Atlanta dribbles forward, passes the ball off, and for some reason, um, we just allow their best player to roam free and stand right in the middle of the box. Brant and Westwood just totally check out. They're ball watching and no one picks him up. There was a slight deflection off of Byrne, so it's kind of fortunate that it landed to Almada. But you've got to be aware of a guy like that on the field. It was very odd, very strange. Again, we played really horribly in the first half, but that's what happens when you ball watch and don't pick up the best player on the field.
Yeah, it was a little maddening to watch that play like just basically happen because you're sitting there and you're watching it and we're like something bad's gonna happen because we just let in so many shots in the first half there and it's just like you're watching this happen in slow motion. You're like, oh god, this is about to happen. This is like Toronto all over again a little bit where we just watched their best player create a DP goal for them, and that's essentially what just happened there in that first half. So unfortunate from that. And before we start talking about how we scored in that first half, I want to talk about Pat a little bit because one thing that stood out to me a little bit, I didn't see it as much in the second half, which is good, but in the first half, our offense and our attack in that first half, and I know I think I either text you or put it with Corey or something like that during the game. We 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 went from this like cross and pray offense and attack 2 years ago to like now it seems like, especially in this first half, where it's we're just gonna boot the ball and God, please cross fingers and hope and pray that Pat creates something for us, because like that's our offense right now. Now, second half's a different story. It seems like we adjusted, which is good, but like that can't be sustainable for over the next 4 weeks, hopefully until the summer window, right?
It's not great, but I think that's kind of like you get by with what you've got until then. We'll talk about Abada here in a minute, but there is going to be while we don't have a playmaker, there is going to be, I think, an emphasis on getting the ball up the field and have everybody push up. And I think Dean kind of alluded to that middle three doing a little better about pushing up themselves instead of kind of being disjointed and leaving those gaps. But yeah, I mean there's some of that I actually like because it stretches the field and Pat's big enough and fast enough to beat people one on one, and you're trying to one again stretch the defense to isolate Patrick because he is really good one on one against people. I would hate to have to guard him. So there's a little bit of that, but what we're missing though, kind of to your point, is that's we're just going to the well again and again and again on that, and that's going to be easy to defend. And you can double team and have somebody guard Patrick one on one with maybe a defender behind to kind of clean up. So I mean, there's ways to defend him if that's all we're going to do. I think the goal though, and what we keep talking about, is getting that playmaker that can mix that up a little bit. But I think there is a little bit of like, let's just hold tight and get to this window so we can get somebody that can create some stuff.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like Pat, it's not a, I mean, indictment of Pat, because he does create on those chances every once in a while. But the thing that worried me for this game was one, I was I was worried that Pat wasn't going to play this game because of the ankle injury or whatever it was that he had against Red Bulls. Right, he wasn't practicing much. We don't really have anybody else that can play the nine right now except for Pat. He's getting some wear and tear on him a little bit, and he's getting fouled a lot, and he's like getting hit during these games. Like, to me,
Mhm.
that's the only thing I just worry about, is it being sustainable over the next 4 to 6 weeks until we get potentially some help in to help him out.
Yeah, we may have to go to a different formation. There is Tavares that could play up top, but then you kind of lose some depth at the wing. But it's not a great situation to be in, and it's something that we're going to have to address. But we have a little bit of a gap here. People can get healthy, and we'll get some more reinforcements in, and I think we'll be okay. But yeah, it's not sustainable. We definitely need a backup, a replacement, somebody to help up top.
Yeah, and I know we got some fan Q&As when we get to the Q&A section here that talk about that in particular. So we'll get to those here in just a second. But let's talk about Abada there. Let's focus on just his first half performance. So what do you think so far of his impact in this game, first half in particular? And were you okay with the style of play and what he was doing in that first half?
I think there were a couple of instances where he did well. I just feel like sometimes we're not getting the ball enough, and it doesn't. I don't really count when he's getting the ball on the wing and he's got his back to goal and he has to kind of go backwards or whatever. Like getting him the ball in space, getting him the ball where he can drive at players. He's not doing that enough. We see it and we're like, we get out of our chairs for it. But so we want to, and again, I'll kind of go back to these goals that he scored and kind of where he scored them. But I like to see him get in different areas of the field to make a bigger impact.
Yeah. So let's quickly transition to the second half in just a second. But then before the end of the first half, Charlotte was a little fortunate to get some help from the Manscaped location of Atlanta to knock a own goal in. Like that ad segue there. But Charlotte was able to get an own goal off a corner. So one, I know we've always talked like, what are we doing on free kicks and corners? Blah blah blah.
Sure.
We actually got
Yeah.
a goal off a corner, technically, even though it was an own goal, that was actually called a non-goal at first. And I was like, yeah, they're not going to call this back. There's like, I already know just how we have with our luck and VAR. We're not going to get this call. But it actually went to VAR and they reviewed it,
Mhm.
and then they actually ruled it in Charlotte's favor as a goal. So Swift, like,
Yeah.
walk me through what your thoughts were during that VAR review. Do you think that they made the right call? Like, why doesn't MLS have goal line technology or a camera
Mm.
at the goal that can see a better angle than what we had? Like, just walk me through that a little bit, and I'll ask some follow-up questions from that.
Yeah, and they should have goal line technology or a camera, a better angle at least. But I thought it was the right call. There were like 3 different angles that they showed. 2 of them, were not very good, but there was one that was clearly, to me, that the ball was over the line. He was reaching back into his goal to save the ball. Of course, Atlanta fans are, complaining and going nuts about it and talking about the angle and
Some of the comments online from Atlanta fans were just absurd.
yeah. And you got to talk about like, okay, it was called a non-goal on the field, so you have to have enough refutable evidence to reverse it. But clearly, to me, if you and I took a couple of I paused the TV and took screenshots of that angle and kind of just kept looking at it. And to me, it's clearly over. And so did VAR, and they gave it to us. But I was like you, David. I was like, "There's no way in hell they're going to reverse this and give us a goal." But they did, and finally, we get a little bit of a break.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know it's really really ugly, and for us to be able to have an own goal, I was just happy that we were at least got it back to a draw level just based off our performance in that first half. Like, I was not expecting
Yeah.
us to go into second half tied, and Atlanta should have been up by more, to be honest with you, from that point of view. So, well, let's get into the second half, because at least from a performance perspective, Charlotte seemed to have done much, much better in that second half. And when we kicked off in the second half, we really didn't make any like lineup changes. We didn't do anything differently. What changed, do you think? Did Dean just go in there and rip him a new one, or like what do you think happened for Charlotte in that second half?
He might have, but again, I go back to that middle 3. That was the difference to me. They played better. Brant had a really great second half, and I think that helped tremendously. But I think the spacing, the awareness of that middle 3 there is what was the difference. And then again, Abada, of course, um, was also the difference. But I think getting that VAR goal in the first half is what really saved this game, clearly. But I think just for morale and finally something kind of going our way that maybe we didn't deserve, but like we've had so many things like that go against us, this year, last year, year before. Like it was just kind of good to be like, all right, hey, we got one finally. We're in this. It's level again. We can restart. And then they came out in the second half and really changed the way they were playing. I thought we controlled the ball well. I thought Patrick did a good job up top, but that middle 3, I think, is what made the difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I thought Brant, excuse me, I thought Brant had a really good second half. Was a lot more confident on the ball, was doing some good passes, pressing as needed, etc. I think that was really good. But let's talk about Abada's first goal. So in this game, that was able to move Charlotte up to be up 2-1. You were talking about different locations. Abada was in a different spot of the field, and I don't want to say used kind of did the same thing that Atlanta did. It was just kind of take ball into space and take what they gave him and created a shot out of. I was just excited to see a shot outside the 18-yard box and actually be on target and go in. So, what do you think from Abada's shot creation from there? And like, what do you think Atlanta was kicking themselves to do there?
Well, much like Almada for Atlanta, they pay him extra money. We pay Abada extra money for these types of things. Not only did he, take the ball, turn and face and shoot, he picked out that corner. That was an excellent, excellent shot. He could have just tried to rip this ball and just hope for the best. He picked that corner out The placement was fantastic, and that's why you pay him for that. That's what you're supposed to get. So it's nice that we paid that money and it's starting to pay off. But I want to talk about the location of that goal. I want to talk about the second location of the second goal, and I want to talk about because Abada probably could have had a hat trick. The third shot that he missed all came from the same place, middle of the field, top of the box, and that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier. Got to get Abada in different places on the field. He can't just be out wide every time crossing balls in. We gotta have him cut in. We got to get him overlapping. We have to have our midfielders kind of check out wide and have Abada move in at the same time, running off each other. But I just thought that was kind of like an aha, okay, if we can get Abada in different spaces, get Patrick cleared out and pull defenders away and kind of clear out that space, Abada can shoot well enough. And I kind of go back to Scott Arfield too. I know he hasn't had a lot of minutes, but Scott can shoot, but he's never in those spaces like Abada's been getting into. But that's what we need. That's what we need more of because it can't be Patrick scoring every time. So we need help from Vargas. We need help from Abada. But it was really nice that he was able to get a brace. But all three of those chances came from the same spot.
So why, and just out of curiosity, and this isn't something that we prep behind the scenes or anything like that. So why wouldn't we play Abada potentially at that 10 role then? It gives him more flexibility to slide around, go out wide if he needs to, and do overlap, or be in the top of the box. He's obviously got some ball skills. Do you think it's just a size and being stout on the ball, or why don't we try him out in that position? You think?
It's a good question, and I think we do have a fan question later. It's kind of are we going to keep playing with Brant, in the middle? And I'll kind of touch on that later. I think just Dean is looking at each individual team who we're playing and the personnel that he wants to run out there. There's been a little bit of rotation in the middle. I don't know defensively what you'll get with him in the middle. I don't know how Dean wants to really be stout there. If you do move Abada inside, then you have to worry about the wing. Who do you put out there? Is that Tavares? Is that Brecht? Who's that going to be? But it's not a horrible idea. But again, I think this is more of hey, get to the summer and we'll solve that problem. And Abada will be out wide where he's supposed to be.
So a lot of talk, and we'll get into Atlanta's, I guess, firing after in just a minute. But Atlanta made some kind of, I guess I don't want to say questionable decisions, but Guzan wasn't actually starting in this game. And do you think that was something that held Atlanta back in the keeper position where he could have made some plays for them, you think? Because he was a healthy scratch for them in this game.
Yeah, he didn't play the game before, I don't believe, and so I think maybe you kind of go with.
I think he had that red card or something like that, right? But I can't remember, to be honest.
So I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, and they've made so many bad errors and decisions that week. So you could just stack that on top of it, I guess. I don't know if Brad Guzan would have made a difference. I'll be very, very blunt. I have never liked Brad Guzan. Never liked him as the U.S. men's national team goalkeeper. Never liked. Not even when he wasn't playing for Atlanta, when he was playing overseas. I have never thought Brad Guzan was a good goalkeeper.
I don't think anyone. If you ask, I don't think there's been really anyone that's raved about him as being the men's national team keeper, or being that face of goalie for the U.S. except for Atlanta fans. So I was okay with. I guess I was okay with it now, looking back at it, hindsight. But I've always been yeah, you can start Brad a little bit. That gives us a little bit of a better edge there because he tends to let some goals in for us. So I was okay to a certain extent. So I just was curious on that. And then Atlanta made some subs, and what they tend to do is they bring in their other DP, but I can't say his name, so I'm just going to call him GG because there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that.
Former Gakamakis.
There you go. Sure. So play with Abada in Celtic, right? But he comes in typically in the second half. There's been lots of rumors about, I think, Cruz Azul potentially buying him and from Atlanta, from this situation, and he's created some goals for him this year. And he comes on the 62nd minute. What did you think about Charlotte's defense in that second half after he came on this 62nd minute? Because they were only up 2-1 at this point. So what was your
Yeah.
thoughts on the defense and Nathan and Yuri and Privet and Melanda from that point of view?
Yeah, I think Urunen was a little rusty. It was just really kind of like his first game back, so I think there was a little rust there. But I honestly thought he played decent. The defense on the night played okay. They made some mistakes and paid for it. Of course, it wasn't our best night, but again, it was one of those things where it just happened to be our night. But I don't like anybody from Atlanta, and I don't like him. And Cruz Azul can take him and get him out of here.
Please.
Which I think
Please
that's
take him.
kind of. I think he's like, yeah, get me out of here. I think he wants out of Atlanta. So
Well, and not to sidebar too much, but I was listening this weekend before this game, listening to Tom Bogert's podcast and what he does on YouTube, and he broke down that kind of deal. He was actually saying he would be kind of shocked if Atlanta played him because of this rumored deal, that it was basically getting final offers, etc. But that he actually was really happy with Atlanta's coach because he was being played and he was scoring goals for them. But now that he's fired, he's probably going to be gone even faster now, because if you like the coach and you fired the coach, then that means that you're definitely going to be gone at that point. So, which I'm okay with. It means making Atlanta even weaker for us, which it's a win-win for all of us here in Charlotte. So, so we talked about the second goal. Do we talk about the third goal a little bit, from where they incorrectly, by the way, called that it was a Westwood pass, but it was actually a Brent Bronico creation and pass across the box to Abada on the top of the box, and was a wonderful goal for Charlotte to make it 3-1 at the time. And then defense made a mistake. What happened on that second goal from Atlanta a little bit?
I've kind of gone back and look at it. It's just one of those things where you make a boneheaded decision, and we made a couple of those.
Yep.
And we paid for it, but on the night we scored more than them, and sometimes you just have to get out of there. And I have to say, I was literally like biting my nails the last like 10-15 minutes, and that game drug out. 7 minutes of stoppage time too. But our defense didn't play great that night. But again, we got away with it, and that's okay. Sometimes you just are going to have games where you got to get away with stuff like that, even when you're not playing your best.
What'd you think about those subs coming in? Because I was like you. I was watching with my dad and my wife Laura. We were watching it here in Lexington, and I started standing up and kind of pacing behind the couch the last 10 or 15 minutes and leaning on the couch and trying to stay active, so I'm not just getting antsy. But we brought on Diani, and we brought on Tiger Smalls. We brought on Brecht within basically between the 82nd and 90th minute. And I felt like that's when things kind of got really kind of sketchy for us a little bit. Atlanta was getting the ball in our final third. They were creating more shots. Yeah. Tiger seemed kind of he's shown flashes this year, but then that last 10 minutes was 10-15 minutes was rough for him, personally speaking.
If I'm Dean Smith, I am yanking Tiger Smalls into the locker room away from everybody, and I am blessing him out. I was absolutely furious with Tiger Smalls. Again, if I'm the coach or we're going back and watching game film, I am reaming his ass. Like, unacceptable. I'm sorry, if you go back and watch those last minutes, there are multiple times, there's like 3 times in a row where Tiger should be making challenges, should be hustling, and he's not. He gets beat. He's not getting stuck in. That's why you're out there, dude. You're out there to close the game down. I know he's young, and look, he's been doing great. But again, I'm going to praise him when he does well. But this game, hell no. Like, I would ream his ass out for that. And I think that's going to be needed. Like, hey, man, sometimes you're going to only get 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. But when you come in, we're trying to close a game down, and you're just kind of like, half-ass getting stuck in. Like I was furious at him. So that's something that I think he needs a good talking to. But and I think Brecht was brought on for fresh legs, which kind of makes sense. Gianni, again, fresh legs. You still get some defense, but yeah, it was not great, and I was really like, oh my god, they're gonna tie this thing up, aren't they? So I was on pins and needles.
Do you think it's I know Abada has been coming back from injury, but when do you think he starts to become 90 minutes fresh? Do you start to expect him to be able to finish games out by this next game? Because I know we have a 2-week window basically here, but do you think he's able to finish games out fully moving forward?
I think so, but I also think he doesn't always have to anyway. I think if he is playing at his best, he's probably going to run himself ragged around the 70th, 80th minute of each game. Hopefully he's running that much. So yeah, I'm sure he'll finish off a couple of games, but I think for the most part, it's perfectly okay for him to get subbed off. If things are going well, 80th, 85th minute, and have somebody else come on and close the game out. Um, but I think he'll be there. We got this break, and so it's just another week for him to get healthy and fit.
Awesome, man. Well, what other closing final thoughts do you have for this Atlanta game? So the visitors take away the win, 3 points on the road, make the Mercedes Benz wear the crown, and Charlotte walks away with 3 points. Any other final thoughts before we go into our ad break?
It helps make up some points that we've dropped either at home or some of the draws and things like that. So it was a huge win for us to get all 3 points on the road against a rival like that. To keep that spacing to keep them down and keep us abreast. Now we're in fifth. It is now keep fifth kind of with a grain of salt because the Columbus crew is behind us and they've only played 14 games, so they have some games in hand. So that might change, but this win was absolutely critical, and just it's good to beat them anyway. But like I said, I think that makes up for some points that we dropped along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still a good feeling to be fifth place, though, man. Like again,
That's right.
Rewind 90 days ago. Would we have been like, you're gonna be in fifth place by June? I'd have been like, there's no way in hell. Absolutely none. Especially if you tell me that we sold
Yeah,
three out of our 4 DPs basically for the year. I'd have been like, no way.
yeah. Let's go back a little bit now because people were just giving this front office absolute hell for all these changes and things that we made. But like, I think the youth has really stood out to me. They've gone above and beyond, and Tiger Smalls, who I was very critical of a minute ago, is part of that. Crown Legacy, the super draft guys that we have, we all know that we're lacking and missing major components of this team, but we're still in fifth place with moving Swiderski, moving Yozuak, moving Cupheady. We're in fifth. It's incredible. I think our coach has got our guys dialed in, but also too, the players have to go out there and perform. Like I've seen some folks say, "Oh, it's all Dean Smith and we're overachieving." What I don't agree. I think Dean has done a great job of simplifying things and giving people opportunities, but the players have gone out there. A lot of we have some of the same personnel as we did last year. I just think they're playing better. The youth is great, and Dean has simplified things. So it's amazing where we are, and things can only get better from here, and we can start scoring more goals.
It's a great feeling for sure to have that. The youth step up, the roster playing like it should have been since the beginning, and then Dean coaching and getting the most out of the players that we have. And summer windows will be very interesting for sure. So, you ready for an ad break here, Swift?
Let's do it.
Swift, real quick, man. Blink if you haven't gotten a Father's Day present yet. Has your wife gotten one for you yet? Have you seen a special package get delivered to the window? I got some blinks.
Not that
there.
I'm aware of.
Well, that's good. So if your wife's listening, or fellas, or even the ladies, if you're listening to this episode right now, we've got a special promotion going for you right now. So today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped, who are the leaders in the below the waist grooming. So Swift, maybe your pops has a bush from the 70s, and that's okay. Our friends at Manscaped have crafted their total package for this special day. So whether it's for the boys downstairs, the beard, or even like me, if you want to shave the top of your head, they've got the best things for you, and Manscaped has all those bases covered. So head over to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. And by the way, if you're a procrastinator like myself and you need to get something for Father's Day, you can still get it in time for Father's Day if you order it now. So make sure you use our special promotion code, which is CORNDOG. It's still hilarious every single time that they let us do that. But use the promotional code CORNDOG to get 20% off and free shipping. So Swift, hopefully, and you learned after our last episode what a zaddy was, but hopefully you get this package for Father's Day and you become from a daddy to a zaddy. So Swift, what do you like about Manscaped?
I like that it will turn me into a zaddy, apparently. I had to look that up. I don't know what the age is for zaddy, but yeah, no, Manscaped's great. We keep making jokes about crown jewels and below the belt stuff, but it's really great for your beard and everything else. They have all types of products, not just razors and all that stuff. They have lotions and boxers, I believe, and they have all types of stuff. So yeah, it's great for Father's Day gifts. Father's Day's coming up. If you haven't got anything for your significant other, father, whatever. So yeah, go check it out. Yeah, use CORNDOG as our promo code. It helps us out. So yeah, go get it.
Awesome. Remember, everyone, 20% off plus free shipping. Go to manscaped.com, and our promotional code is CORNDOG. And we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped, for that quick ad break. But we're here to talk about some exciting things for Charlotte FC in the city of Charlotte in the great state of North Carolina that's coming up. We've got Bank of America Stadium renovations coming up. We've got fan Q&As. But before we do anything like that, Swift, there was something I am so excited for, and I'm sure Jay is listening and he's going to just fast forward right now. But I got a surprise for you real quick. Hold on, for the visual audience.
Oh, God.
I just had my Charlotte FC kit be taken off, and I'm wearing a wonderful English Premier League team kit with a special hat that I have to put on here to talk about this great news. So I know we are a Charlotte FC podcast here, Swift. And for those who are listening to just audio, I have turned into a Fulham full kit wanker right now. And it was leaked, or I don't want to say leaked, but was reported earlier today at Top Ben 90. So, Jorge, make sure you check him out on different social media handles. But it was leaked and posted by him that, per sources, Charlotte FC are closing in on United States men's national team and Fulham defender Tim Ream. So Swift, I'm ecstatic on that news. I know Matt Chantry, Russell Varner, friends of the show, are ecstatic. How are you feeling with that potential news that Tim Ream could be joining Charlotte Football Club?
You guys are going to make me hate Tim Ream, and it's not going to be his fault.
No, we're going to make you just love him so much is what's going to happen.
I am excited that you guys are excited. When I saw the news, I was like, oh my God, I have to do a show with Gusler, and it's just going to be 2 hours of him talking about Tim Ream. I'm pumped for you guys. I don't like Fulham, but I'm glad that you're wearing the jersey and you feel some type of way about Tim. As far as the player is concerned, there's been a lot of chatter, of course, about it. Let's say hypothetically that this goes through. Okay, we'll go through this scenario.
And to be clear, and you're right, because it's not been confirmed yet. It is sources, or, It's something
Right.
that could hypothetically happen. But sorry, so I just want to make sure I was clear on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so say this does go through, of course, there's been a lot of chatter, and I'm sure I think we have some fan questions about it, but, what would be the situation here? Is he replacing someone? Is he going to be a designated player? I can kind of confirm that it would not be a DP slot. Tim Ream is 36 years old, so I would imagine this would be a 1 to 2 year deal. This is not going, and this is where I cannot confirm, but I would imagine he is not going to replace anyone. Malanda is not going anywhere. Andrew Privet is not going anywhere. But I said this in Slack. If Malanda were to get injured and, Privet gets a red card, our backups are Bill Tuiloma and maybe Hamide Diop. That's not very comforting. Diop has had 0 minutes. Bill has not hardly played. People are hot and cold on Bill, mostly cold. So it's just not a very good situation for us if either one of our center backs go down. So we need some backup and some depth. And we have to bridge a gap where, because, ideally you want to go out and develop your own players, through Crown Legacy and, go get someone younger. But we have to kind of bridge a gap. But you also want some, veteran presence. He's a U.S. men's national team player. That's going to give us some recognition. So I like the move. And don't get me wrong, and don't freak out. Like, we're going to make other moves. We're going to go get that playmaker, maybe a striker. There might be a winger. Like, we're not just doing one move or the other. I know the Marco Royce thing, that deal has apparently fallen through. This is not a replacement for that. This is just an addition. So I've seen some of those comments out and about. So I think it's a good move. It's fun. I mean, like, you and Chantry, of course, are loving it, and so that's kind of fun. But yeah, I think it's great to have a veteran present back there, and we need the depth. We really, really do. That's we are an injury away back there from, like, really having a problem. So yeah, looks like it's pretty likely to go through. Never say never, right? Until it's 100% signed, sealed, and delivered. But yeah, I guess, David, are you gonna get Ream put on the back of your jersey now?
Oh, if he signs, absolutely. So I'll just say this. So everything you said is correct. I'm not going to disagree with anything. I just the only thing I would just add is that he does add some flexibility because he does have experience playing left back, center back. I think coming into MLS at his age, he's probably going to be a backup for center back. He's not going to go out there
Yeah.
and be a
No,
left
he's
back.
not
We've had
gonna.
Pedro play left back right now. We've had
Yeah,
Yuri go out there and play
yeah,
left back. It's not anything like that. He he's played almost 10 years in either championship or Premier League for Fulham. So I mean,
yeah.
like,
He's
he's
a good
got
center
plenty of
back.
experience. Yeah, he's a good center back, good guy. Has played some matches for the US men's national team. Played for Bolton for a little bit before Fulham. So, I think it's a good move. I think it's a good depth piece. I'm not sitting here. I like Tim Ream. I like anybody that's going to come from full America over to Charlotte. So I'm okay with that. But I'm also going to be realistic and say he's not going to be a DP. I don't expect him to go out there and start
He's not.
30 games for us, because if that's the case, then something's wrong. But
Yeah.
that's the only thing I would just want to just make sure people have a caution on, is that we're not going to have that here for us, for that.
Yeah, he's not breaking up that center back pairing. There's no way in hell
God, no.
a
Yeah.
coach is going to break up a defense that leads the league. And you're just not going to do that. But again, if either one of those guys goes down, we have a problem. So we need some depth, and that depth needs to be someone that's good with the ball at their feet, who has experience, who's a veteran. And Tim Ream checks all those boxes. He's good in the air. But the thing is, he's 36. He's going to be playing on turf. He's not going to be starting every game. don't know how many minutes he'll get. Um, but it's great to have that flexibility though.
And the thing about it too, like we're about to get into a summer window where we're going to have Leagues Cup games come up, and you have Leagues
Right.
Cup. Andrew Privett's played what every minute since last year's
Every
Leagues
single
Cup game for us, and you've got Melanda who has played majority games, has had a miss here and there, a few, but like you want to be able to rest these guys occasionally. If we have them play every single minute of every single game, even in Leagues Cup going into October, we're gonna be getting into that September October stretch, and these guys are gonna be like hitting a wall a little bit, and we've got to be
Yeah.
able to have some quality depth to be able to pull them for 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. I not expecting Tim Marine to go out there and start Leagues Cup for us, but we got to have depth to be able to fill in the gap here just in case long term for us.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think he could. I think he could start some of those games because you're
Sure.
correct. We need to give Andrew a rest. We need to give Melanda a rest. There needs to be some type of rotation there. It's a long season, yeah, and you throwing in these other games. So I think it's great. He's a leader, so I mean, you're getting all the qualities that we've been kind of looking for anyway. But again, this is not to replace anything. This is not like, oh, this deal fell through. Now we're just, going to go for this guy over here. That's
Sure.
not
This,
what this
this
is.
is not
So
stopping us from getting a 9 or a 10 player.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
this is just a depth piece. So my last thing that makes me very happy from this is that he is from St. Louis, and St. Louis fans have already had the heartbreak of Royce being teased to them. They all thought that Tim Ream would come to St. Louis and close out a fairy tale kind of career and play for St. Louis City. And guess what he's doing? He might come to Charlotte FC instead. So love it. Absolutely love it. So I just had to make sure I ripped that Band-Aid off. If you want to follow some Fulham fans, make sure you follow Matt Chantry, Russell Varner, myself, and get on the Tim Ream train, baby.
God, you guys are gonna be so annoying. It's so
We've
annoying.
already got some Tim Ream chants going on in the background, man. Just to let you know. So we're working on it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
I can't
Well,
wait.
thanks for letting me fanboy over Tim Ream here for a second.
Yeah, we didn't talk for 2 hours. I really thought we were gonna
No,
cut you off, but
I've got some.
You did good.
I've got some self control. So, but we had some other big news get announced, and I'm going to read a little bit here just from the press release, and then I want to get your thoughts and talk through this because I know people are going to have some varying opinions on this news. But Tepper Sports Entertainment came out and released some renderings and announcement for a planning for the future of Bank of America Stadium. So renovations, right? And so I'm just going to read this little bullet point here. So highlights the renovation. It says, imagine entering the stadium through an inviting perimeter with a park-like setting, exterior video boards for watch parties and other viewing opportunities. Once inside, fans will experience the best in technology with a new state-of-the-art sound system, scoreboard, and video boards. Enjoy exciting and unique social areas with skyline views, improved concessions, and regional offerings such as an expanded team store to better accommodate Panther and Charlotte FC fans. Arts and culture be infused throughout this as well, but they were going to have brand new seats installed throughout the bowl. There's going to be improved accessibility throughout the facility, so such as the concourses, etc. Stadium safety and security enhancements, including illuminated wayfinding and improved lighting, a reimagined South Lawn Pavilion, which can be used as a community gathering spot for outdoor classroom on game days and non-event days, upgraded restrooms throughout the stadium for better sustainability, accessibility, and speed of service, enhancements to the stadium exterior, and a reduction of our impact of the environment and demand on city infrastructure. So, Swift, we'll get into the financials part here in a little bit, but what's your initial thoughts when you saw these renderings, the announcement? What went through your gut from that point of view?
Well, first, they're just renderings, so that is not the finished product. Unlike the training facility, they pretty much had that all planned out, and that's exactly what they were going to do. Then they put out the renderings. But what you've seen for the stadium upgrades, they're just renderings, so that none of that is 100% locked in. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that people probably are not going to like me saying, because I've seen some comments about, soccer specific stuff. And some of you probably saw this in Slack, but we got a lot of soccer specific renovations when we first got the team. And I know people don't want to hear that, but we got new locker rooms, soccer specific stadium dimensions. We got the throne. We got all of these things, signage inside the stadium. A lot of those upgrades were for the soccer team specifically. We actually had to rip out Panther PSL seats to make some of those changes. So just want to say that, because I know as soccer fans, we're going to be like, hey, what's up with we want soccer specific stuff. I think what we're seeing with these renderings and what they're wanting to do is a holistic overhaul of the stadium, which is a very, very dated stadium. It's like one of the older stadiums in the league. It's like from like 1996, I think. So, the seat part is pretty great because those seats need to be replaced. So that's a huge part of it. And I think I like all the things that they're adding. We'll kind of get more into like some of the soccer specific stuff that people are asking for. But I think some of the details will be added in. Just because it's not necessarily listed out does not mean that it won't happen or can't happen. Again, this is just kind of like renderings. Nothing's even been approved. So I think we'll see more specifics as this gets approved and we go. But I like what I've seen. I think it's going to be a great addition. That stadium needs a lot of upgrades. So I'm kind of digging it, actually.
So I'm gonna read the details here a little bit and next steps from the same press release, and then we'll talk about the soccer stuff. So it says that renovation will be an ongoing partnership between TSE and the City of Charlotte. Total investments include a fixed investment of $650 million from the City of Charlotte over the term of the deal, a total investment of over $688 million by Tepper Sports Entertainment, which includes $117 million that was invested prior to June 2024. So I'm assuming part of that was probably the soccer renovations, the practice facility, etc. And an estimated $571 million, which means $150 million towards renovation plus potential overages, and an estimated $421 million for capital improvements over the term of the deal. So I know there was some I don't want to say misconceptions out there for oh, well, City of Charlotte's giving 650 and, TSC is only paying 117, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's supposed to be ongoing renovation capital expenses spread out over 20 years. I think it's also locks in Tepper for 20 years where they cannot, I think it's either maybe 15 or 20 years. I can't remember, where Tepper would not be relocating the team or moving the team from the location.
That's right.
To make sure. So, and then just to kind of add this nugget, because it doesn't say it in the press release here, but the money, from what I understand, and I know I'm not going to defend either way. I'm just going to tell you the facts from what I understand it as, is that the money that the City of Charlotte is giving is a tourist fund that has come from hotel and beverage tax, and it's not increasing. It's already a budgeted amount that they usually use towards tourists and tourism throughout Charlotte. So a perfect example of this is the City of Charlotte could be voting. Remember, not all this is approved yet, so it's still in the works, everything like that. This is just a proposal. But City of Charlotte could use $650 million and use it towards, say, a convention center facelift or upgrade, or other things that geared towards tourism within the City of Charlotte. This is not taking money away from schools and teachers and public transportation and things like that. It is money from taxes that are paid from tourism. So hotels, people come in and stay in the city. And then I think food and beverage tax, which is, again, people go out to eat in the City of Charlotte. So that's where it's coming from, because I just want to make sure I clear the air from that. Now, you can say, hey, well, should the City of Charlotte be using that money for something else? That's neither here or there. That's between the City of Charlotte, your elected officials, and budgeting, etc. But it's either going to get used for this or used for a convention center or other tourism things. It's going to get spent no matter what.
Right.
It just depends on where they decide to allocate it. So, So
Yeah, the
go
citizens
ahead.
are not getting taxed. Citizens are not getting taxed more. This is coming out of a specific bucket. Like most things, when you're dealing with a budget, you have different buckets for different things, and we are dipping out of the tourist bucket, like you were saying. Also, too, something to keep in mind that typically how these deals work is that the city will agree on something, and the team will agree on upgrades and everything like that, but then they also have to, over the course of the lifetime of the stadium, the city usually has to pay for the upgrades and upkeep of the stadium, and Tepper is taking all that money. Like he's paying for it. So the city's not going to have to pay any upkeep. Like Jacksonville is an example. Like the city of Jacksonville has to pay the Jaguars for upkeep of the stadium after the renovations have been completed. So the city's not going to have to do that too here. So
Yeah,
just
I mean,
something to add to that.
yeah, and so next steps, it just shares like nothing's set in stone yet. Renderings aren't set in stone. This is just an artist perception of what they could potentially do, what they're proposing to the city. So over the next few weeks, Charlotte City Council will be meeting over the course of the next several weeks and discuss the Bank of America Stadium renovation project. So I'm sure it'll be discussed and then voted upon from that point of view. So, Smith, I hear you from the soccer stuff. I know I'm one of those fans, and I put on there that on social media or Twitter, like I'm cautiously excited because Bank of America Stadium does need a facelift. It desperately needs upgrades throughout. The sound system is one of the worst I've ever heard in professional
It
sports
really
in
is.
2024.
It's pretty bad.
It's not good. And so like I'm okay with them renovating and updating, and it needs to be done. And I'm also okay that the released video is geared towards more Panthers, because Panthers also are a bigger revenue driver for what the renovations are gearing towards, right? So I get that
Mhm.
perspective. I do hope, and again, that's why I said I was cautiously in this. And I know they can always include this stuff and they can do it. And I know they've upgraded a lot of soccer stuff. There are some small things I wish that they would include, such as like tifo rigging, um, better
Yeah.
location for
Yeah.
drums, permanent locations, things like this, things that aren't really huge, like dollar amounts, and should be
Mhm.
pretty. I don't want to say simple fixes because I'm a fan. I'm not a general contractor. I'm not someone that can do this and figure it out. But I figure in the grand scheme of things, if they're uplifting and putting a gigantic video board on the side of a football stadium that is like 100 yards, this is a drop in the bucket for some of the things that I hope that they would do. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. I hope it happens. I hope that it does uplift. And I think they even said that if it does get proposed and passed, 2025 is when they would start doing some of the renovations, but it would not interfere with Charlotte FC nor Carolina Panthers playing games in the stadium. It would take, I think, 3 or 4 years for it to get 100% completed. So I think I read that online somewhere, but it's not going to block potentially us having games there, because I think that could be going through people's head. I'd be like, well, if the stadium's getting renovated, where's Charlotte FC going to play? We're going to play in
Yeah.
Clemson? No, they're still going to be there in the stadium.
Well, I mean, some of the requests that I'm seeing are, more for like the soccer specific stuff. We probably would be displaced, especially if you're talking about a roof, a dome, anything like that. I mean, that's major. And I don't know how you can structurally put a roof on that thing without like absolute, like major
Well,
months and months and months and months worth of stuff. No, go
I
ahead.
think
Go ahead.
fans use. I was gonna say, I think fans use the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium as an example, because we are a stadium that's in the South. Like if you think about just put it in NFL perspective, we are one of 4 teams in
Mm.
NFC South. You have us, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons. 2 out of the 4 have outdoor type stadiums. Tampa is on a cove and has a little bit of a breeze and tropical weather. We are in
Mm.
the South, and it gets swampy and hot, and it is absolutely miserable now through October in that stadium from a temperature perspective. And so what they compare it to is Hard Rock Cafe in Miami opened up this brand new stadium without renovations or drawings of any kind of roof or canopy. And they realized that is a terrible idea in Miami to have college football and NFL games um, in 100-degree weather with the sun beaming directly on folks. So what they did is they put a canopy over it, so it still keeps the field in a natural setting. So it's still like 110 degrees on the field, but at least in the seats, it's like 90 degrees instead, right? So I think people see that and they go, and I'm selfishly, I'm one of those fans that wish that we could do that because I'm tired of sweating through my shirts every single game during the summertime. But I can't pretend that I know what goes involved in that and think that Bank of America that was built in 1995 could withstand adding that to it compared to a stadium built 5 years ago.
That's my point is I don't like I would like to have that. Now I will say this. I don't want a dome. I like it being open. I like looking at the skyline. I think that's part of the charm. So the overhang I get because yes, it gets hot, especially on that one side of the field. But like I was kind of looking at the stadium. I was like, how would you actually be able to? Because our stadium's a little strange anyway, how it kind of goes back, especially that upper part. So again, like I don't know if you could actually physically do it without like major overhaul. And I don't know if the structure can even support all that stuff. And on top of that, if it could, and you're like, okay, let's do it, that is a massive project, and we probably would get displaced. So where would we play? Are you good with playing down in Clemson for a season? Like you have to kind of like think through that too. So again, like we had, as a Panther fan, I know this is a soccer podcast, but I try to like we share a stadium whether we like it or not. As a Panther fan, I look at all the renovations that were made for Charlotte FC, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, this is our stadium, and now we got soccer, and now you're making all these things for the team. What about us? We've had this stadium since '96, and nothing has changed. So now they're making these renovations, and I don't think it's just for Panther stuff. I think it's for the whole experience. So I like it, and if you do like it and like these renderings, I would suggest reaching out to the council to say, hey, you should do this. You should make these renovations. But again, I think like the TIFO rigging stuff, that's probably not going to be included in the renderings and like the list.
Yeah,
because
no, that's not
city
sexy
council
stuff to
don't know.
post.
They don't know what that is anyway. They're like, like what TIFO rigging? What's a TIFO? Like, so I mean, look, so don't. We should push for this stuff, like the basic stuff, but I'm just kind of assuming that we'll get some of that stuff anyway. So
Fingers crossed, but you never know until you ask and you get an answer. So I think that's why a lot of
Sure.
fans are on social media asking and making statements on it, because they want to make sure their voices are heard and they want to make sure it's not forgotten about. Because I will say it is kind of silly that we're going into year 3.5 and we still don't have proper TIFO rigging. Now, granted, we have what we have is makes do, but we're using a field goal harness to pull
Right.
up a TIFO for that, which again, not the end of the world, but it's
Yeah.
simple things
And-
like that. So
Yeah, and maybe they'll
well,
take this opportunity. But yeah, we got to upgrade some stuff. So
sure. Yeah. So be sure you check it out. Check out the online. They posted the renderings on all of the TSE accounts. So, Charlotte Football Club, Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium. It's all put out there. And make sure you do that. And then, like Swift said, if you're active in local government, city council, they have a submission area, I believe, you can give feedback on. So if you Google that, I don't know where it is, but I know it's on there somewhere. You can give the feedback to the city council, what you think as a Charlotte and Mecklenburg County taxpayer. So I am not one anymore, so I can't do that anymore.
I want to give some perspective and a little caveat with that. So like if you're going to message and be like, we need TIFO rigging and we need a dome, and if you don't do that, this is stupid. It kind of goes back to the council can either spend money on our stadium or they can spend that money elsewhere. So if a bunch of people are messaging in and be like, this is dumb and like Panthers are stupid and like we should get a soccer specific statement, I don't think that's gonna help. So I'm just saying that's just my perspective. Do whatever you want, but like if you want these changes made, which I think are pretty amazing stuff, like the seats alone, the seats need to be replaced. I just went to a concert and sat in the upper deck. Those seats are hot trash. Like, we need new seats. So I would write in and email in and say, hey, yes, please spend money on renovations, and then we can work out the details as we go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, don't scare them away from spending it, because God forbid. We've all seen how Tepper reacts when cities back out of deals. Sorry, Rock Hill and all that area,
Yeah.
but neither here or there. Sorry for the small jab there. So uh, you ready for some Q&A here, Swift, to dive into this and some fun questions?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's pull up some questions here. We've got a few of them that we may have touched on. A few of these I'm going to pull up either way. So Matt Chantry first asked Swift, was Atlanta playing Peppers at halftime the biggest example of an opposing team shooting themselves in the foot in Charlotte FC history? So I'll hand it over to you first.
Yeah, it was so dumb. Somebody did not do their homework or give them the memo. But I thought it just kind of like put the cherry on top of the night. Like, it was just so ridiculous to do that.
I can't believe they did that either, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I know we talked about the earlier marketing and social media, whoever that was. It's a pretty dumb decision. So, I love it though. Keep doing it. Please keep doing it. So, maybe we just need to say reverse psychology a little bit, Swift. We hated it. Please don't ever do it again. Like, I'm just joking. So, but yeah. So, good question for us there, Chantry, a little bit here. So, Brian Duncan wants to know, has the season surprised you? And do you think we would be in fifth right now? We touched on that very briefly, but looking back, Swift, has this been a surprise journey for you so far this year, now that we're in June?
I think the defense has surprised me, because what a difference a year makes. Last year, for most of the year, we led the league in goals against. Now it's kind of reversed. So I think I'm really surprised there. I'm surprised at how well Dean has got our team playing. I honestly thought we would struggle a little more until we got a playmaker, and surprised that Capetti did not do well at all, and I thought that was going to be a real struggle. But yeah, so I guess to simply answer, yeah, I've been surprised, pleasantly surprised. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have anything else to add to that. Like, it's been a surprise. I've been very happy about it. I'm going to be very selfish soccer fan and be like, I want more now. I want us to finish fifth or better. I want us to have a home game for a playoff. So yeah, keep it going. So, and I think
That's
we're
right.
halfway at the halfway point right now, and we have 25 points, I think. So if we just double our team output, we'll be at 50 points, be best season finishing ever. Granted, if you look at how the East finished last year, 50 points, I think, would put us at 6th or 7th. So still not like hosting a lot of home games potentially as a playoff team. But I think the fact that I don't want to say outperformed expectations, but we're in 5th now without the attack that we should potentially be getting in the summer. We should be able to output more, hopefully, by that point.
Yeah.
So friend of the show, fellow Tim Ream gang fan and Fulham fan, Russell Varner. So I put the hat back on just for him as I saw his question coming up. So with no Royce reportedly, remember it's not set in stone yet, but reportedly not signing with Charlotte FC and potentially signing with the Galaxy, would you rather the team continue to go after a more established big name player, potentially as at 9 or 10, or more of a kind of up and coming younger player that many people like the casuals won't really know, but would still impact just the same?
Good question. I would like for us to get a kind of a big name player, but this market is always going to have a hard time. I mean, like Marco Royce, David, we were talking about this before we were on air. Like, his wife is a model. Like, if you're a model, would you rather go here or LA or Carson, whatever? Because that's where they're going to be.
Yeah, but it's still LA. That's like saying Huntersville and Charlotte. Like, it's fine. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's an hour away. It's like 52 minutes. But anyway,
with LA traffic, yeah.
That's well, yeah. So we're always gonna struggle getting big name players. Jay, who also hates Tim Ream, Jay Landskroner, put something in Slack though, kind of to this question. I look at Seattle, and he mentioned Seattle. Seattle has never been a team that's got these major names, right? I mean, they've kind of grown their major names. I mean, Clint Dempsey went there, but like if we're talking like, stars from overseas coming over here to play, they've really never had that either. But they've just been solidly good, like, just consistently. So, and I think he mentioned like Kansas City and Houston. They've won without, huge name players. So I think we're just going to be a market that is going to have to struggle with that. But I think our fans help sell agents and players on coming here. The way we travel down to Atlanta, that all that stuff factors in. But I would like a big name just to get the fans hyped up, and just someone that teams have to like, oh crap, okay, we have to guard them. We have to mark them out of the game. It just opens up things for some of our other players and just would build some hype. But I think we're gonna have to be kind of more of an up and comer type of team, and that can be exciting, and we can grow stars here.
So we got some follow-up questions here that we can kind of just, I don't want to
Oh,
say
can
shoot off the
can I
hip a little bit, but yeah, go ahead.
can I uh if you have not seen Russell Varner's video from Atlanta,
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
go on Twitter and look up Russell Varner. He has this amazing video when he was down in Atlanta where he's on his phone and he's filming himself walking up the stairs out of the concourse up into, the field, and he's basically just like walking up and then getting a shot of the field. He just happens to be filming though right when the ball is played to Brant, and Brant plays the ball to Abada for that goal. It's absolutely epic timing. It's an epic video because he then pans to the fans. The timing is it's just impeccable, and it's one of the greatest videos I've seen. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. It's pretty amazing.
Russell, I hope you went and played the lottery right after that too. So it's huge, crazy timing for that. So, but yeah, go check him out. And Charlotte FC actually used his video and posted on social media. So you can even check them out on, I think, Instagram, and other folks did as well. So, so David Kelly, on that same kind of Royce kind of conversation here, should we be disappointed with and I'll say this, like reportedly, $350,000 a GAM for the Royce discovery rights from the LA Galaxy? So should we be disappointed in that, Swift?
I feel like it's like free money. It's like dib money. Like you call dibs on something, and then like, oh, you want him? Okay, $350K for it. It just discovery rights cracks me up in this league. Discovery rights make sense if you discover a player like when they're like 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. They go through the academy, they go through legacy. Like, okay, discover, like, it's just so bizarre. Like, so yeah, free money, I guess. Again, Marco not coming here. So yeah, there you go. 350K.
Yeah, I think I made the joke of like it's Michael Scott just shouting, "I declare bankruptcy," but I discovered Marco Royce and just shouting that into the void, and then you're getting $350,000 for shouting that out loud first. You know what I mean? So, kudos to the team for doing that because they know how to work the system. Now, would I say that I'm disappointed for that? And if that's the true number, no, because it's like you said, it's free money. But I think the record is like $600,000, and it was for like I want to say like Paul Areola or like Freddie Adu or something like that, like some player that is nowhere near the name recognition of Royce, right? So like for me, could Charlotte have like really like twist the knife a little bit more and gotten more? Sure, but I also know the league is not going to be like, hey Charlotte, please don't do that to the Galaxy. Like that's one of our premier brands and markets. Please don't screw them over.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the league that at some point I'd like for us to get past, because I'm almost certain that the league was like, hey, we really want this to happen because we want to attract mega stars. I mean, make no mistake about it. This is a league that is still growing, and that is part of it, is getting more and more of these types of players here. So I'm sure the league was probably on the phone, like, so what you charging here? What are we doing here? I would almost bet my life on that, but maybe I should.
which is ridiculous, but that's okay. But that's neither here or there.
It
So,
is.
so this next question again about the same kind of up and coming player a little bit. So Thomas asked the question here: would you rather have a veteran striker share minutes with Patrick while he continues to develop and start often, or a true like DP number 9 that is ready to come in, and then Pat becomes like this bench as a true backup player? So, what would you do if you're Charlotte, and what would you want to see this come to fruition?
I think I'd like a true number 9. Well, one, I want a number 10, but if for this question, yes, a true. If we had the option, a DP number 9, and have Patrick be able to learn, and watch and develop, and still get minutes, of course. But yeah, veteran striker. I'm kind of. I don't know how I feel about that. Depending on, I guess, the age. So I think I'd lean more towards the DP 9 and have Patrick come off the bench. Because the thing is, having Patrick come off the bench is very, very scary at the end of the game for defensive. Yeah.
Well, and that's where he's been really successful with this so far too, right? And so, not saying Pat can't be a full-time starter. I think that's the ultimate goal, but I think it's also been helpful for us right now in 2024. We need a DP proven striker to be able to come in and be a game changer for us. It'd be really nice to see that. Could it be Carroll? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I'm not going to do that. So, so this next question comes from Stuart. And Stuart, I had to shorten this a little bit just to get on the screen, but the overall theme to his question, Stuart says, is the trend line pointing to Brant being back as a starter for every game, or is he still someone that we should be using as a situational player starter? He mentioned in the question, like, has a nonstop motor, does create chances from us from time to time, etc. And I've seen it come up in Slack, and Stuart didn't say this, but this is the third coach we've had in a third year, and it's the same thought process that Brant still gets starting minutes with the third coach. So, like, I know,
Yeah,
Brant's a pretty polarizing
I put that
person.
in Slack.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, maybe it was you. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah,
So,
I was one of the
what do
people
you
that.
think from that?
Yeah, it's whether people are kind of hot and cold on Brant. They either really like him or they really don't. And I in comments where he doesn't even need to be on a MLS squad, which I think is absurd. But yeah, you have coaches now that are vastly different in every single way. Have liked Brant enough to not only like keep him on the team and like start over other players. Brant's game for me is more a reserved defensive style game. What I don't like is when he goes forward. That's not his game now. He did get an assist in the Atlanta game, but when the ball falls to him as he's attacking, I'm like, oh no. Like, to me, that's not his strong suit. He's being asked to do things that's really, and especially last year, doing things that's not in his strong suit. So when you're critical of him, just know that he's being asked to do things that's not really in his wheelhouse. He's better at defending, better at being back. That's just my opinion there. But yeah, 3 coaches now. I don't know what to say. He keeps running. He never gets tired. He gets stuck in. There was a, I forgot what minute it was. I wish I would have wrote it down. There was a sequence where it's the epitome of Brant for me. He makes this like amazing stuck in tackle, like hard tackle, and wins the ball. And I stood up. I'm here by myself at the house watching. I stood up. I was like, hell yeah. He steals the ball, dribbles down, and then makes a horrible pass and gives the ball away as he is attacking. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what it is. And so, but yeah, man, like I think for me, I would like to see more situational. I don't know if I want him starting every single game depending on who we're playing. But man, it's hard to bench someone like that just can go out there and never gets tired and gets stuck in and will literally do anything that you ask him to do.
I'm a big Brant fan, so you don't want to hear my take on this, but yes, I think, yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, everything you said, I get it, but like for me, like Brant's a local guy, 3 coaches, 3 seasons, still get starting minutes. I'm okay with it because obviously the professionals are the ones who are saying it's the right thing to do, and I do a podcast and have a full time job that's outside of soccer, so I don't have any expertise in that like they do, so. Um, but so we'll transition from that. So about over to James. So again, talking about that midfield a little bit. Do you think the midfield rotation continues, or do you think we'll start to alternate or get some like consistency in that midfield? Because that is something we are doing with Dean a lot. Is that you're seeing, you know, Deani, you're seeing Junior, you've seen Brant, you've seen Brecht, you've seen Scott, you've seen Ashley. Like we have seen a lot of Ben Bender, you've seen a lot of midfield kind of rotation. Do you think we start to see that solidify after the summer window, or do you think it's still kind of, I don't say midfield by committee, but kind of switching out a little bit?
Oh, that's a good caveat that you put in. I think ideally for me, after the window and after we get our number 10, the two main focal points will be Westwood and whoever that number 10 is. That's going to be a constant for me. The other two, this last game we started, so and Brant, those are the two that you can kind of like tinker with. You would have Westwood, you would have the number 10, and then you'd have actually one other spot open, right? And that's where that could be Urso, it could be Brant, it could be Gianni. And I think that's kind of like the plan or what it should be. And you can have some rotation. And then that number 10, you've got Brecht, you've got Arfield. So you start building some depth too. I don't see us, and I wouldn't want to see us keep the same midfield 3 that we had this last game for every game. I just don't think offensively that's just not a good strategy. And again, it doesn't lend to Urso and Brant's strong suits. So we'll probably see a different, but kind of to your caveat there, David, like, yeah, after the window, we should see some positions be solidified, I would think. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I think until that summer window, we do have midfield by committee a little bit, just based off the lineup, what the matchup is, who we're playing. So Greg asked, and Greg, I apologize, I had to summarize this one a little bit too, but as we look at new signings, how do we protect the culture that Dean's built this season? So I know early on, he talked about having a teaching mentality, the room at the training facility is going to be like a classroom, obviously creating some kind of culture with the defensive players, focusing on clean sheets, giving out bottles of wine, cases of wine. How do you protect that culture if you're the front office with players?
Tim Ream. I think he's a perfect example of. I know I hate to say that because you're just gonna get too excited. But no, I mean, like, you bring in a player like him to be that veteran presence to teach, because he is 36 years old. I mean, you're going to kind of be a mentor to some of a player like Milanda or Andrew Privet, show them the ropes, show them little tricks and things like that they may not know. So I think it's a great signing in that aspect. But there is to it, like, when we go get this number 10, how do they fit in? I hate to say it, Enzo Capetti really didn't seem to fit in. I know there's some different opinions on that, but for me, body language, how he was interacting, just didn't seem like a fit. Hopefully he'll be a fit somewhere else, but just here, it just didn't seem to really jive well. So yeah, you've got to be really, really mindful of who you're bringing in and how they get acclimated to the team and everything like that. So it's a really, really, actually, really good question.
It's a really good question, and I wish I had an easy magic wand to say this is the correct answer, Greg. But I think Swift already told us it's Tim Ream, so that's our magical wand. So there you go. Eric Hill asked the question, and we talked about this a little bit, but just to kind of close seal the ribbon a little bit. Midpoint of the season, 5th place in the East. Reflecting back based off the roster as well as the opportunities, do you think we're overachieving, underachieving, or just where you expect us to be, all things considered?
I would lean more towards overachieving, but I feel like if I say that, this taking away from what we've done in the players that have delivered. I look at I look at Patrick, and he probably shouldn't be starting, but he is. And Dean's a great coach, but Patrick has been able to make individual plays. He was starting over Capetti. That's something I don't know that the coach is responsible for. So our players, they're in there, and Andrew Privet is another great example. Andrew's in his second year now. He's been going out there and kicking ass as a second year player. So maybe overachieving, I don't know, but I just think our scouting team really saw something in our super draft guys and folks at Crown Legacy, and they've been on the field and they've been doing their jobs well. So I think maybe overachieving. I hate to say that, but yeah, I mean underachieving. I don't think so. Maybe just right. I mean, think about it, like Capetti should have scored a lot more goals being a DP. Like I feel like we would have a lot more goals if things would have worked out. But maybe we're just right.
Just right. Like that's right. It's the three bears with the porridge. We're just right. So, I'm going to skip the QC Rolls question because I'm going to save that for the fun one at the end. So these next ones are about kind of stadium renovations a little bit. So Keith says, "Is in the stadium renovations, will we get a corn dog specialty restaurant?" So, I'm going to go ahead and answer this one and say we better, because of Columbia, South Carolina has a Korean corn dog specialty restaurant where there's like a variety of corn dogs that you can order, such as like potato corn dogs. You have like a hot Cheetos one. You have all sorts of different like flavors and things. We better damn well get a corn dog specialty vendor.
Forget everything that I said earlier. Write the city council and demand that we get a corn dog specialty restaurant.
Here's what you need to do.
Oh my god.
Here's what you need to do. You need to write me a check for $5 million. I'll take said check. I'll use maybe like $1 million of it and use it to open a corn dog specialty shop in Bank of America Stadium. And I'll make some subpar corn dogs for you, but I'll be $4 million richer. So I can make that happen if you make it happen, Swift.
They give you $5 million for you to make. Oh my god!
It's branding,
I'm just
man.
imagining I'm just imagining the city council if they got like a couple hundred requests for a corn dog specialty restaurant, and they're like, "Why? Why is this? Why is this a thing?"
If anyone proposes this to the city council, make sure you put in there. I was listening to the Mint City Soccer Show, and they were mentioning corn dog specialty vendors in this stadium renovations, and we need this. And I hope that they read the proposal out loud and be like, "We got a lot of requests from this Mint City Soccer Show for corn dogs, but that's okay." God, yeah. Ridiculous.
I would love it.
So good question, Keith. I hope so. I would love it as well. So Joe says, if the proposed stadium upgrade is approved, will they finally make it look like it is a shared space and not just a Panthers majority or specific stadium? So I'll use it as an example. Everyone harps on it. The scoreboards. On the outside of the scoreboard, there's a big old Panther logo, but no Charlotte FC logo. And then on the inside of the scoreboard, there's more Panther logos. Harris Teeter logo, Lowe's logo. What is it? Atrium. It used to be Carolina's Medical, whatever it is, logo. But there's no Charlotte FC logo in that. You also have the Panthers Wall of Honor on the inside of the ring. Inside the actual dome, or not dome, I guess the bowl, there's really no Charlotte FC branding that's permanent except for the throne, which they take out during the Panthers games. So do you think that that gets added at all? There's definitely some inside the vestibule and the concourse and that kind of stuff. But what do you think from that question, though?
I think the scoreboard, that's I don't know how easy it is to take off and replace the Panthers, or maybe make one side Panthers and the other side Charlotte FC. I was actually trying to look at it when I was at the concert over the weekend and see what it would take, because I think that's probably the most upfront visual thing to do. I mean, I don't know. It's difficult when you share a space to make it exactly 50-50. I mean, and keep in mind, this is our 3rd season, so it's gonna take a little bit for us to have more signage, have more things. And also too, like, as Panther fans that, maybe absolutely hate soccer, they're gonna be like, "What the hell?" Like, it's a shared space. It is what it is. It has good things and bad things with it. And also too, it's also a concert venue too, like it or not. So yeah, it'd be nice to have more signage, and I think we can make some easy like changes. Like, okay, we can make this split, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question, Joe.
Yeah. Well, I think if the renovations go through, they're going to replace the video boards anyways. So that's probably going to be all digital, and they'll probably have
Yeah,
some branding on there digitally. So who knows? But
yeah,
good question, Joe.
yeah.
So Jeremy asked the question: what is the over and under on whether we get players signed early in the window this go round? Seeing as I feel July away trips and Leagues Cup could really help them get settled in. So if the rumors are going to be true about Tim Ream, that is us announcing a thing before the window happens. So we could be already ahead of the boat there, Jeremy. But Swift, what do you think from that perspective? And I agree with Jeremy that Leagues Cup could help them get acclimated into the role quicker for the rest of the season.
I think there's been. I hope people don't get mad at me saying this. I think there's been a slight overreaction because we've had some delays in visas before. I think it happened like year 1 or something like that, and so ever since then, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I hope this is not late." Like, the past couple of signings have been have gone through the process pretty quickly, played in Leagues Cup. Like, I think we've got the process down. Now look, every single country's different, so it just depends on where they're from. But I think we have a kind of a good system down. I'm sure the team has learned from some of those, and they did made some early mistakes. But I haven't seen a pattern of, really making this process long. It's and again, like, when do we get them in the window? And the thing is, like, you can have a target, you can have set terms, but sometimes agents step in, sometimes teams, and it drags the process out a little bit. So even though you're like, I want this player, I want them right when it opens, that does not mean that you get them then. That we might want them right then, but we've seen all types of crazy things happen. We've seen how teams didn't send in the proper paperwork in time and a deal fell through. All types of crazy stuff happened. So, I don't know. I think we'll be all right.
Well, and if you target players that are U.S. nationally born, like Tim Ream, you open the window, you're right there at it, baby. You don't have to worry about any visas. So, sorry, just gonna keep throwing Tim Ream as many times as I can. So, let's transition to the final question of the show. That is probably the most pressing, important, and really where I want to spend the rest of the show at. QC Royals says, how can we ensure a new spooky queen statue will be included in the stadium upgrades? We will not be giving up on this and will be insufferable until the terrestrial vessel of the disco chicken is, and I had to cut it short. Basically, the disco chicken is what they really want to have there in its place if we don't get the spooky queen. So it needs to represent Charlotte. So for those who aren't aware, I think right there at the I think the Mint, not the Mint, but the arts facility there next to the Duke Energy building, there's a disco chicken statue.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, Mint Museum. Thank
Right.
you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what they're referencing. If you have to Google that, just Google disco chicken Charlotte and you'll see it. But Swift, how can we ensure that the new spooky queen statue is included in those upgrades as long as the disco chicken gets included as well?
Well, I did the first natural thing possible, and that was to tag Joe LeBou and Sean McIntosh and Woody and Willie P on Twitter, because that's what you do when you have anything that you want to talk about, is you tag them,
I'm just gonna
even
start
if they don't
tagging them.
really have anything to do with. Yeah, like Willie P. He really would not be making the decision, but I need him to weigh in on it. So I tagged him. So, and again, I think I kind of been going back and forth on this city council thing. I think again, maybe we should rethink it. And when you write in, add the corn dog specialty restaurant, also this spooky queen statue, and just see what happens because we do need it. I think kind of back to Joe's question, we branding. So I'm a big fan of the queen. I still have no clue what the videos are about or anything like that. The Royals are fan of the videos and the queens. I want that happen. So if everybody out there listening can tag Joe LeBou and say we want the spooky. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I just cringed. I cringe instantly when you say that because people will be like, oh my God, I need to do this. So sorry, Joe.
No, don't do that. But no, it would be cool because I think it's part of our kind of like culture now is these cool queen videos. There's a 704 Shop did a shirt about it. I've got the shirt. I think it's really, really cool. The videos are awesome. I hope they keep doing that. And yeah, it'd be kind of cool to have the spooky queen as a statue at Bank of America Stadium. So, I mean, hey, these renderings, they're just renderings. We can add that in if we just push it really hard.
So I have a caveat to the Disco Chicken and the Spooky Queen. I will only approve those to be added as long as we add a statue of Torch Guy as well. So Torch Guy has to be, somewhere in the distance holding up his torch with the everlasting flame always going.
The only thing about Torch Guy that I wish we would change is that like when he puts the torch in the whatever the hell that thing is, like I want something to blow up. Like
you want fire.
I don't want it.
I want fire.
Smoke. Is it a chimney? Like that's the only thing. Like I want us to adjust that. It's a cool thought. I think it's awesome. I've noticed like kids are really getting into it, and like when he comes out, they're like, "Oh my God!" So like I love that part of it. Just like let's have some fire. I'm sure that's probably not a good thing, but let's just get some.
Just burn it all to the ground. Yeah,
I mean, it could be like like he put. Well, yeah. I mean, he could put the flame over the thing, and then someone pushes a button somewhere else, and it kind of like flames and sparks shoot out. So it's not necessarily fire, but it's
the
like
flames
something.
The flames do happen when behind the goal. So like I'm on the supporter section, and dude, the flames go like every time he does that behind during that moment. But he needs something in the chimney or the keep or the tower, whatever he's stabbing it with.
Yeah, it's need to adjust that a little bit, but I think it's cool though. But yeah, so you could have the spooky queen statue, and then the guy with the thing like right beside of her or something like that. Let's make it happen.
Awesome. Well, that is our last question for the night, Swift. So before we bless this audience again with Corey's amazing song before we end, which I promise you we will get more facts when the time this episode airs, we will know more about it to give context to it. But anything else you want to add, Swift, before we let the fans listen to this again?
No, just thanks for supporting us, and let's listen to the song again.
Yeah, here we go. Big kudos to Corey. I don't know what involvement you had in this, but thanks for the surprise, and here we go. Enjoy, everybody.
Yo, look at go. Yo, it's Suno Queen City crew, we rolling in beat. Charlotte FC, yeah, we put y'all to sleep. Down in Atlanta, man, you felt the defeat. That 85 derby, you can't compete. Came to your crib, made it sound like a library. So quiet in the pits, y'all ain't even scary. Bitch, you so bad, you couldn't find your pride. Next day, coach fired, yeah, he had to slide. Charlotte FC, we wear the crown. Came to ATL, shut it down. You gave out crowns, ain't that a joke? Burger King swag, now y'all looking broke. They call it the Benz, but y'all ain't got no drive. While we reppin' the crown, showing Charlotte pride. Your fans got crowns, but we know the truth. Queen City's in the house, and we came with proof. Y'all talk big game, but you couldn't back it up. On your home turf, man, you ran out of luck. From the first whistle, we control the pitch. Left y'all stunned, twitching like a glitch. Charlotte FC, we wear the crown. Came to Charlotte FC, we ain't never accept defeat. ATL's burning, but not in a good way. Y'all felt the sting from the Queen City play. Came to your turf, made it ours for the night. Left you in the shadows, couldn't see the light. Your fans and crowns like they work in the grill, while we hold the throne, flexing on the hill. Our 85 derby, it's a wrap, we the kings. Charlotte FC, man, we got the rings. Charlotte FC, we wear the crown. Came to ATL, shut it down. We gave out crowns, ain't that a joke? Burger King swag, now y'all looking broke. So remember the name, Queen City reigns supreme. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream. We the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again. Y'all had the hype, we brought the fight. Queen City reigns, yeah, we own the night. Coach packed his bags, couldn't take the heat. Charlotte FC, we ain't never accept defeat. 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 Y'all had the hype, but we brought the fight. Queen City reigns, yeah, we own the night. Coach packed his bags, couldn't take the heat. Charlotte FC, we ain't never accept defeat. Yeah, ain't never accept defeat. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream. We the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again. Y'all remember the name, Queen City reigns supreme. ATL's nightmare, Charlotte's dream. We the real kings, y'all just playing pretend. And this our 85 derby, Charlotte wins again.